did you ever wonder how is it the Draktyr are black dragons, yet they barely have any black dragon flight abilities? Well, we just learned the answer as Meltarion literally extracted the essence out of them, and in 10.0.7 all things are hinting that they might just be getting back their earth abilities, which could definitely signify a tank spec. Furthermore, we have literally data mined Draktyr saying not enough rage, a bunch of other class abilities, they have other class animations. We also have new data mined in-game journals talking about their creation, their official Blizzard interviews where Blizzard all but confirms that they are getting new classes. So what is all this information, and are we going to see Draktyr Evoker tanks in the near future as well as other various Draktyr classes? If you guys are looking to buy Dragonflight or anything Warcraft related, Gamiivo has some amazing sales that you can check out with my link. On top of that, you can get software, gift cards, various games at crazy prices. Best of all, you can use my code DORON to add yet another discount to your purchase, so make sure to click my link below, check out Gamiivo, and grab some amazing deals. So before we get into what could be happening, possible speculations or whatnot, let's just cover straight out data, and that is from official Blizzard interviews. In fact, we have multiple interviews from various Blizzard game developers all over the place, and they all in one way or another confirm that we will be getting more classes to the Draktyr Evokers. I mean, they haven't outright confirmed it saying we will get them in 10.1, but it's sort of like a soft confirmation that it will happen in the very near future. When asked whether the Draktyr will get new classes, they said something along the lines of, it's definitely possible down the line, although it is unlikely that other races will become evokers for obvious reasons, and that is because an evoker needs wings and dragon abilities, so they're reserved for dragon races. However, all the Draktyr are only evokers because that is what Meltarion intended them to be. As they learn to pick up an axe, they could become warriors, and as they continue to integrate into the Horde and the Alliance, they could definitely learn new abilities. Now, if you guys have followed the news, this is an old interview from a few months back, but I want to point out something that is incredibly relevant right now, as we have just data mined a ton of new info from 10.0.7, this new possible zone Aberrus, so all of this is actually the latest stuff. We have legit Draktyr journals on what their life was like. We have a rebellious black dragon that Deathwing had to punish that we actually discovered. If you want detailed reading of every page, check out my Aberrus video, but the really quick summary is that Meltarion doesn't seem to be a nice guy whatsoever. Like, he was not nice whatsoever to the Draktyr. He really just saw them as a tool, as a means to an end. As I said, we have actual Draktyr journals from when they were active, so 20,000 years ago, where they say all they do is eat, sleep, and train. There is absolutely nothing else going for them. Some of them have inclinations to do something else, they want to dance, to try something new, but all of that is very strictly suppressed by Meltarion. So despite the entire point about how the Draktyr are the personal soldiers of Deathwing, they're his personal army, I think by the current lore the more appropriate wording would be slaves, like literally warrior slaves that Meltarion created for a single purpose, and when they couldn't serve their purpose, they were imprisoned directly by Meltarion and Malygos. Now, of course, only time will tell, but at the moment a lot of info is saying that he didn't care about them whatsoever, and ultimately he betrayed them by imprisoning the Draktyr. Now with this info, let's go back to that Blizzard interview. All Draktyr are evokers because that is what Meltarion intended them to be. This means that Meltarion only cared for making them evokers and regular soldiers for his own purpose that we still don't know what it is. However, the Draktyr obviously had their own wishes that he personally suppressed, so they might have wanted to be warriors, mages, or whatever else. Now, let's look at the current situation. They were awakened from stasis, they're no longer slaves, no one is controlling them. Some of them have joined the Alliance, some of them have joined the Horde, they're living a free life, they're free to roam around the city, meet other people, not even be warriors, fighters if they don't want to. There is no longer a master that is controlling them with the help of an artifact that controls every second of their lives. I really don't think we need further confirmation that they will be getting new classes in the very near future. Like, the ground for the lore is just completely set up. So when we combine this with the older data, a lot of things make a lot more sense. Literally, back on the Dragonflight beta, we had discovered a ton, and I mean a ton, of data mined Draktyr dialogue for all the various classes. There are literally sound files where the Draktyr say not enough rage, not enough energy. There are male and female voices for these, and there really is a ton of them. Like, this is not just like some random sound that someone planted or maybe something we might have discovered. Like, there's a ton of actual voice files. Of course, Blizzard could have just recorded him, just in case, since the voice actors are already recording everything, but honestly I doubt it. I don't see why they would go through all that much effort if they didn't plan to add more classes. Furthermore, there are literally other class animations that were data mined as well, so really, when we combine the animations, the voice files, the interviews, the recent 10.0.7 documents, and the lore, in my opinion, this is 95% going to be happening in the very near future, possibly as soon as 10.1. It also makes even more sense. I mean, I understand the one race, one class thing, which could be like a unique selling point for the expansion, but it would definitely be stupid if they just kept it at that forever. Like, there would really be no reason why they wouldn't add more classes. Now, another really interesting aspect of what we have discovered and what is new info as well, and what was always super confusing, is how were the Draktyr, the creations of Neltharion, they're literally black dragons, yet they barely use any black dragonflight abilities. Like, you would imagine that would be like their main abilities, and they would use some other flights for like a few abilities, but like their base would be the black dragonflight. Well, that really is no longer a question, as we got an answer in 10.0.7. So, as you may know, the Draktyr were infused with the power of all the dragonflights to become the ultimate warriors to battle the primalists, but we have a journal from a new black dragon, Adamantia, as well as some of her correspondence with Deathwing, where she was literally instructed to drain out the black dragonflight essence out of them. I really don't think we need further answers to this question. Now, I'm not going to read out the documents verbatim, but essentially, Adamantia was a servant of Deathwing that he had instructed to conduct experiments on them to remove the essence. She realized this can damage them. She didn't really like the attitude that Neltharion had towards the Draktyr, and ultimately, she did actually rebel and didn't listen to orders. Neltharion, in correspondence with her, said this: "This is your final warning. You will become an example to all who foolishly entertain such asinine aspirations. Your suffering will span millennia. Even death will not release you. Any who look upon you will gaze upon your torment and despair. Seize this folly or retribution awaits you." Now, this was not an empty threat, as in 10.0.7 we literally discovered the black dragon Adamantia frozen in a crystal, and I'm guessing she has been there for thousands of years. According to the journals and the questlines, the Draktyr vaguely remember her, but none of them clearly, but obviously she was critical to them now being free. There are even hints that she may even be alive and frozen, meaning that we might get her back, or we might learn something from her before she is gone in regards to the Draktyr, which could definitely expand their lore. Now, why I'm talking about this, why this is relevant, is because this might mean that the Draktyr may be getting their natural black dragonflight abilities back to the full extent. Black dragons are earth dragons, they're all about protection, they're the strongest physically out of all the dragons. This would 100% mean that they might get their tank spec back, and we could be seeing Draktyr tanks in the very near future. Of course, this hasn't been confirmed yet, but honestly, by the way the story is laid out, it definitely makes a lot of sense. They might be able to get a new form, or more than likely it will just be new abilities, maybe some type of a scale ticketing ability or whatnot. Furthermore, in these documents, a place that is heavily tied to the Draktyr is mentioned, called Aberrus, and this is a heavy hint that this is either going to be a new zone, a new raid, dungeon, or a sub-zone, or something really important to the storyline that will come out in 10.1. Ultimately though, I think it is very likely that we may be getting Evoker tanks, which is an upgrade for the class, but it also very likely means that they will be introduced to other new classes. Blizzard has lately been talking about wanting all races to have all classes, and they have been setting up the lore for that to happen. You might have noticed some setups in Dragonflight as well. In regards to the Draktyr, I think realistically they might be really the easiest ones out of all the others to become all classes. They essentially have the essence of all the dragons, meaning they can be warriors, they can be rogues. Through their elemental heritage, they can be shamans. Through the green dragons, they can be druids. Through the blue dragons, they can be mages and all the other spellcasters. The only ones that wouldn't make sense would realistically be Death Knights, since the Scourge is gone. However, other than that, everything else can definitely be learned, as they really are incredibly versatile, which was Deathwing's original goal for the Draktyr. Thank you for watching. Check out Could the Naga become playable by clicking on the screen, and check out the Nodes Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.